Hello, and welcome to Father Time, formerly Father and Son. I'm your host, Evan. Absent as always is Jer. And my guests today are my good friends, Marco and Jon.
Hello.
And also returning guest, Lainey, is in the back there. She's not going to say much, but she's peace signing right now, so she's here. Guys, say hello.
Hi.
What's up?
What's up?
Do y'all want to just jump?
You got the questions.
Well, I was going to say, do y'all want to just jump right into DODS, or you want to
No, let's
talk about some backstory? When I have friends on this, I usually talk about like some fun story from back in the day, whenever, around the time we first met. So Marco, I've known forever, since like 6th grade. Jon, not quite as long, but you were like there in the background at the same time. So,
I don't think our friendship kicked off until after high school.
Yeah, and I always kind of regretted that. I was like, you seem like a cool dude.
I've said that multiple times. It's like, Evan was you were one of those people that like, I didn't have anything against it, just like, we just never hung out.
Yeah, well, I was scared of most of the people in your grade anyway.
I was too. That's why all of my friends are currently people that were a grade below me.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can remember is something that I wasn't really there for, but it was that story of you standing up to Coach Collins.
Coach Collins.
That's a good... So, Jon tells this story all the time, but that's a good story to tell right now for people to hear.
Yeah, for all two of you listening right now.
Five.
Five, yeah.
Give me credit.
Gotcha, yeah. For all 300 people listening right now. Evan... we were in middle school still. We had this creepy... he was like a classic PE teacher. Like, creepy mustache, way too short shorts, tube socks. Like, those weird, oddly, shaven legs. Like, he had no leg hair.
Yeah.
It was weird. But, But he was just weird and not a good coach, which made him a perfect PE coach. And, one day he was just like, all right, kids, now everyone have a seat. And, everyone sat down except for Evan. And his arms just, crossed. And he was just, in the back of the group.
With my hoodie on.
Yeah, you had your hoodie on.
He used to hate that I would wear my hoodies in the middle of August.
When it was hot.
Yeah.
And you just did it to spite him.
Exactly, yeah.
And he goes, Evan, take a seat. And Evan, you go, you're like, actually, I prefer to stand. And he was like, well, all right then.
And then at another point, I know he would have everybody stand, and I'd be the only one sitting.
Yes.
And
he just would do anything.
So there, we had it's just a circle basically. There was a circle of grass with a big sidewalk around it, and that's where we'd run our warm-up laps. Oh, yeah. And I don't know when the last time you guys went back to MCA was.
It was about 3 weeks ago, actually.
Okay, so you've seen
the new updated...
That by the circle, there are actually picnic tables there now.
Yes.
I can only imagine.
It looks like a college campus now. When we went there, it was one grade above a prison. Yeah. And now it's nice. I would have, bro. Even though
it still kind of looks like a prison.
MCA sucks now more because the spirit. I feel like the high school spirit is gone.
I'm telling you.
There's a lot of reasons it sucks more now.
The depravity of MCA is what birthed our mildly privileged ghetto personalities, and I don't think that the kids at MCA now are getting that.
Wait, what's mildly privileged ghetto?
What does that mean?
Well, in my mind, we all grew up at MCA where it was kind of our parents are spending so much money for us to be there, except none of us know exactly where the money is coming from, so we all had weird low-key struggles.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
MCA was a low level private, not low level, but
I was
cheaper.
We were there because my dad was in ministry. That's the only way we could afford it.
We were in those portable homes things.
Yeah, we had portable.
Yeah, okay, I got you. So we were at private school, but it was not nice.
Yeah,
privileged ghetto.
Privileged ghetto. Okay,
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Anyway, I can only imagine what it would have been like in middle school PE, me being the little jerk that I was to the coach, that if those picnic tables had been there, I walked those warm-up laps to begin with, and he hated it. I would have just sat there for 15 minutes every day.
The funny thing too is I don't think Coach Collins really did care enough. So he just if you really didn't want to, he just kind of ignored it. He would yell at you, but there would he would just yell at you.
Right, there's no consequences.
There were no
actually.
Absolutely
yeah.
not.
Yeah.
That honestly is so much of high school. Looking back, I didn't ever want to get lunch detentions, but
lunch detention was It's like getting sentenced to like life in prison.
Dude,
because lunch is the only fun part of school.
Dude, nah. I mean, looking back, that was not the only fun part, but in the moment, yeah, lunch is like the only time.
Yeah.
I always looked forward to sports
Study
after school,
halls.
Well, I'll put it this way. It was the only time you were guaranteed a good, fun 30 minutes. Because, occasionally one class or the other would have some day where it just happened to be a really good day, but you wouldn't know that it was coming.
Yeah.
So, always lunch.
Lunch was... We had some good memories at lunch tables. We actually have...
Oh, are we telling people
No,
now?
we're not.
Oh, we can't.
We're not?
Dang.
No.
Never mind.
There's a secret.
Guess you guys can't know.
We have matching tattoos. That's all we'll say.
We have matching tattoos.
I'm not sure I know the story behind this.
Why does Evan have one?
Because I don't want to tattoo.
Yeah, I didn't think Evan would.
And also, I wasn't at y'all's lunch table.
Yes, you were. You were just off to the side for a little bit.
You were a floater.
You were a floater. You were a floater.
Okay, in middle school, I was technically in the same, row of tables. But...
I don't know how you guys' memories are so good. When you ask...
You don't remember anything.
No, when those memories come to me...
It was the peak of my life.
If somebody ever... If somebody ever, asked me, what's your favorite memory from, 8th grade? I'm like, I don't even know what was going on in 8th grade. I don't know how old I was in 8th grade.
I kind of just go back and forth. Some days I really do get things from, 8th grade mixed up with sophomore year.
I remember all that.
But, no, for the most part, I feel like I remember pretty clearly stuff that was going on back then. I don't remember ever sitting at y'all's table more than a couple times, because I don't want anybody to be confused. I've had Archer on the podcast. Polish and Wong are going to be on it, most likely, for the New Year's one.
How's he doing?
It's been pretty good as far as I know.
His sister got married.
Oh, yeah, today.
Yeah, to Nathan Hamilton.
To Nathan Hamilton. Shout
okay,
out.
you know Emily Palmer comes to church?
Emily... Oh...
Nathan's...
No, wait.
No,
no.
That goes to our church,
Yes.
So, Emily, me, and Nathan all used to go to the same church when we were all 3 years old. She knows him. She also, this is a random fact, all three of us also went to church with Destiny, my first girlfriend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Destiny.
Yeah, Emily's the
Shout
person
out
that
Destiny.
Yeah, no. Dude, she's dating the most, default creative character human being I've ever seen.
The regular me.
It looks like if all slider settings are set to default 50.
Yeah.
Is who she's
average.
Yeah.
Right. I remember
Anyways.
Nathan Hamilton was in my geometry class when he was a junior and I was a freshman, and we both had the same. My hair has mellowed out since high school, but we had the same curly hair back then, and so they all called me his twin. So
the only one memory that I do remember about A Wong was the oldest. Is it Caleb?
Maybe.
The oldest Wong. I remember he came over for...
I forgot there was an older Wong. Yeah.
He came over for my sister's New Year's party or something, and it was 8 o'clock, and he passed out on the couch. But the couch, it was a sectional, so it split open. So he was folded like this, but passed out on the couch at 8 at night.
Nice.
Those Wongs be crazy sometimes.
Yes, the Wongs.
Yes, quite.
Either way.
Yeah.
Shout out Josh Wong. I miss Calc. You sat to my right.
But anyway, the reason that I didn't want anybody to be confused, because we've mentioned me and Archer and what we call the boys is the lunch table club. That's what we've called ourselves. Right. So I didn't want anybody to think that you guys were part of that. But there's kind of two different
lunch tables. Yeah. There's your lunch table club, and then there's our group that sat together.
And I guess I probably sat with y'all a couple of times, but honestly, the reason that I maybe don't I do remember high school pretty well, but the reason I maybe don't focus on it quite as much is because I think when you look overall, you guys are, there's 8 or 10 of us in this group.
Yeah.
And so that by percentage wise means most of my friends are in this group. And so, but at the same time, I feel like I didn't hang out with you guys quite as much until after high school. Yeah. So I kind of have more memories with y'all, I think, from the last 2 years, give or take. But they've been good memories. We've done
had a lot of good memories.
All sorts of great things.
We've lived full lives.
Yeah, I know. I tell myself that all the time. Is creatively, it bugs me that like one day I'm gonna die and leave like half my projects unfinished, likely as not. But I always know that I still have lived a full life in terms of
that's actually
everything
honestly
else.
Good segue into the death diving thing.
Okay.
Because like I not even just death diving, but I remember like I like heights, right? And I like adrenaline and stuff like that. But like I always liked the idea of cliff jumping. But like the only time I'd ever like jumped off of something high into the water was like my parents used to own this little like river house in Florida, and when you go down to the river, there used to be before like a bunch of like I don't even know. There used to just be like the rules on the river used to be so much more lax, and people would just put up like platforms on every tree that hung over the river, and so I'd climb up and jump off of them. And then like one summer I just went over and they were all cut down. And apparently some like new like river group had moved in and like chopped them all down. But like I remember like that was probably when I was like 14. And then the next time I went cliff jumping was like the beginning of my junior year of college. And from the span of then to now, which has been like 2.5 years, I went from like doing it like once every 6 months to like building my own platform, religiously cliff jumping.
Yeah, you've done a lot.
Then getting into like, because like I don't know, I saw death diving one day and I was like, this is so much cooler than anything I've seen.
I wish we remember the
video
or just like the text or something. We were like, bro,
no,
we gotta
I do
do
remember it.
What is it?
It was the first time like no, it was either House of Highlights or ESPN. One of the like the big sports Instagram pages that like even if you're not a sports person you follow, so you can like kind of like talk to people. I don't know. That's the reason I follow sports pages, because I don't give a f about like most sports, but like I follow it just so like if everyone's talking about a game, I can at least be like, they won or they lost. But anyways, they posted about death diving and they were like, look at this belly flop competition. And then I read the comments and everyone was like, this isn't belly flopping, they're intentionally like landing like that. And then I sent it to you and I was like, dude, literally I was just like, dude, we should try this. That was it. And then
so that's the origin story, because that was my first question. I was like, how did this start?
The origin story is that, well, the real origin story is that Marco, out of all of my friends, Marco and I have had the most, like, we've lived the closest together. Yeah. We've kind of had the same idea of what is and isn't fun to do outside. And we've always, like, we've never, like, pushed each other to a point where, like, we got hurt. So I think we've always, like, like, we always, like, the ideas we have will bounce off of each other. And, like, whether it's just any sort of outdoors, like, semi-adventurous stuff, it's like we've never done, like, Marco's never suggested something that like failed so miserably that I was like,
I was kind of like the buffer, because you have a lot of crazy ideas and 80% of them work, but then sometimes it's like the rest of us are like, okay, wait, you can't, maybe not that.
This is also sad. Do you remember any of like my wildest ideas that you were just like, no, absolutely not?
It probably has to do with that treehouse swing that you wanted to do.
The one that I did?
Yeah, no, but I think there was something. I feel like one of them is that slide idea.
The slip and slide out the window, dude. That's so doable.
Or like something like around your pond, like you wanted to get like a tractor or something and like drag us around the pond.
Yeah.
And then like we had the tractor.
I wanted us to kneeboard around the pond and like using a tractor to pull it.
I just didn't know like physics wise how that would work, because I feel like
it would have worked.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
I'll try it out this summer. We should try it.
I remember there was this one time where Garrett, it was me, you, and Garrett, and we, Garrett, your cousin, and we had a tractor, and your Garrett was driving around the pond, and your mom came out, and she was like, that was the first and only time I've ever seen your mom like mad at us.
Oh, dude.
She got,
but that's the thing. She wasn't even mad. She legitimately was just like, I don't know. My thing is like my parents don't like to embarrass me when like I have bad ideas, but the problem is they don't know how, so they just end up embarrassing me more. And my mom just like came out, I was like, "What are y'all doing?" But like it honestly was not like. I'm surprised she was that upset about it, because like the rope swing was a way worse idea. And, like, it happened.
And were you trying to put a rope swing from the tree that I know of, the one that
have you seen the treehouse in the back?
Well, okay, yeah, the one beyond the pond.
There's
okay.
a rope swing off of that like you can jump off of and swing down, and it works fine. But that's like version 3.0.
But that's just onto land. There's no
working fine is like it works fine if you have someone spotting you.
No, well, it now works fine regardless. But like the first couple versions that I put up, the first time I swung off it, I swung directly into a tree.
Oh yeah, and it's pretty bad.
I destroyed my back. Like I still think I have back issues from that.
Really.
But
and there was one time where I saved you with the beanbag.
Yes. That video is awesome. Anywho, all that to say, Marco and I have always been like if I want to go on an adventure and I want to run it by someone, I run it by Marco because he's either going to say no or he's going to say yes and he wants to come with me.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that kind of got us to do the whole death diving thing, and then we had that little platform that I built in the backyard, which was not originally for death diving.
Right, that's
like
just there
the
to
first
jump
one was
into
just a cool let's jump off this thing.
Yeah.
And so Mark and I would do that, and then the first summer we did it, I guess for everyone listening, death diving is the sport where you jump off of, in competition it has to be at least 10 meters or 33 feet. You jump off, and what are the 3 ways you land?
There's a shrimp dive, and the one that you do that I don't like doing.
It's just elbows to knees.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a cannonball. But I don't know the third way.
So basically, it's like a...
It's a belly flop, but you save it.
It's a belly flop, yeah, but you save it. And so, in air, it's all about style. It doesn't really matter what you do as long as it looks cool. Someone who does 4 backflips in a row could get a lower score than someone that jumps off and just holds.
It's
the pose.
super still and looks clean.
Because maybe those are really sloppy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 4 sloppy backflips, even though technically that's way harder.
Yeah.
Is probably gonna get a lower score than someone that just jumps off and goes flat towards the water in the belly flop position, but is holding a Superman pose or a...
We'll probably end up talking about Cliff Cruise, but Cliff Cruise is one of the things that we went to for this competition that, I mean, we'll talk about it later, but one of the guys there, Andrew, he gave us that metaphor talking about how if cliff diving was UFC where it's proper and all these things
Olympic cliff jumping or Olympic diving, if that's the UFC, then death diving is the WWE. It's all about just entertainment and making it look fun and look stupid and all that kind of thing. It's way more to make the crowd hype and then be ooh, if you get a crowd reaction, everyone's oh yeah, that's way cooler than if you do a bunch of technical stuff.
Because when we were at
well, I don't want to interrupt
no, go
your story, but my thing was because I haven't really watched y'all at a competition or anything. I've seen and kind of done cliff jumping
right
with you guys, but so if it's mostly for crowd hype and stuff, then for example, Marco, I know you did place second in one competition you did. So did you win anything for that, or is it?
Yeah, I won some shirts and some merchandise from the guys who are.
The sport is in the phase that spike ball was in 4 years ago.
Yeah,
where it's a sport. There's rules to it and there's competitions,
but it's pretty niche.
It's niche. And there's only one league that has any sort of funding, and it's all in Norway, where it started. And they've had 20 years. Americans are just now catching on, but the Norwegians have been doing this for 25, 30 years. Okay. So it's just now getting to the point in Europe where it's a sport that's televised and people are coming out. And there's practice sessions and but here in the U.S., it's still basically just people like us that are
it's stuff that you see on Barstool Sports.
Yeah.
Or those college.
But that might mean y'all are riding the first wave, kind of, and maybe you'll.
There was kind of that watershed moment where we were at Cliff Cruise and we were we could make something out of this.
Yeah. Because the Andrew Jumanji is his nickname. His actual name is Andrew Judson or something. He's the only person in the U.S. who's ever qualified for Norway. He's a legend among all There's literally probably 100 people in the U.S. who actually care about it.
That's a high estimate.
But so among all 100 of those people, Andrew Jumanji is the guy, and he was at Cliff Cruise, the competition we went to, and he I kind of took Marco and I under his wing. He kind of knew a little bit about us because of the platform that we built.
It was good you were there because you're really good at kind of having those conversations with them to get them to go out and take us there.
Yeah.
So
basically the day before the competition, I came up to him. I was yo, I'm a big fan, and we had talked a couple times because of he had seen our platform we built, and he just thought it was super cool that we cared enough about this sport that literally has no fans, that we built our own. You know, because we're in Texas, there's no cliffs unless you drive 2 hours.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I was the day before the competition, I was can you bring us out to the spot and give us some tips and stuff, and just struck up a conversation with him because it's 15-minute walk to the spot and back. And he just kind of liked our attitude, and we all got along. And yeah, but
all the people there are super cool. It's like all these people are just like living in their vans and stuff, and been like all around the country.
It's competitive, but it's too small to have like rivalries.
Yeah,
like it's too small to like have. Like, it's a competition, but, like, you've played really competitive games, but it's all your friends. So, like, at the end of the day, it's like you want to win, but, like, you're also just, like, super stoked to, like, see your friend do something crazy.
Yeah.
That's the stage it's at right now.
Like, the guy who went before us, like, or before me in the final, like, I was just as excited to see him, like, do, like, some crazy trick. I wasn't like, oh, crap, I can't beat that.
Yeah, like, never in the competition.
That's a great stage for someone.
Yeah, never in the competition did anyone do a trick that I was jealous of. Like, I was just excited to see.
Everyone was like, whoa, that's awesome. Yeah.
Because, again, aside from in Norway, and again, there's no, like, you know how, like, in Olympic sports, for the most part, there's, like, set names for different tricks. Like, if an Olympic diver does a double backflip, that's known as a double backflip because someone patented that trick and named it. But like in death diving, there's no real tricks that are like named yet. So you can come up with whatever you want, and like if you haven't seen it on social media, that probably means you're the first person to do it. Yeah. So like it's cool to like think of new tricks and stuff, and try and like make your own, because like, you know, imitation is the highest form, or is the highest form of flattery, something like that. Yeah. So like basically, Marco and I just look at the Norwegians because they're the only guys that have like done this for a while, and we just try and copy whatever they do.
Didn't you get like shouted out by one of the Norwegians or something?
Marco and I are actually technically
that one DODS Federation account is one that like anytime we tag them, like they pretty much like they'll like shout us out and put us on their story, like, because like, whoa, these guys from Texas are doing this, like, it's awesome. It's like
because wasn't it like unique that y'all built the platform? Oh yeah, the high one. Yeah,
when we showed people the videos, because like John was saying, people knew that we had that platform.
They didn't know it was us, but like they'd seen that platform on social media because it gotten reposted a bunch.
And when we would show them that video, they'd be like, "Whoa, that's your backyard!" Because like all these people are from like freaking like New York or something, where they don't like have land or something. And so it was just cool seeing just all those people like be super excited that we have this, like, that John has this like pond in his backyard where we built something and jump off of.
Yeah. All right. So I guess this question's kind of for Marco as well, and you might like want to apply something different to it than what I'm gonna apply for John. But what I'm really curious to ask you, John, is like, technically your career is as a DJ at this point. Would you say that's correct, or do you just kind of do that on the...
6 months, 12 months ago, I would have said hard yes.
Really?
But honestly, right now, just no.
Okay.
And just because with COVID going on, like, I'm not making money DJing, so it can't be a career. It's a hobby that maybe could turn back into a career. But honestly, like, because the past couple of years, it was cool that it was my career, but like, because it was, I had to spend so much time like constantly on the road, making plans, talking to people. It has kind of, in a way, been nice to like not stress about that.
Sure.
One thing that's actually been kind of annoying is like my music friends hitting me up like, "Yo, you have to post this or that for engagements." I kind of always tell them like, what if I don't want to?
Yeah.
Like, you know, right now, you know, just with everything being shut down, there's not as much opportunity for people, and everything's more stressful. And like right now, like, you know, mental health is definitely like a big factor for at least me. I'm assuming a lot of people, and I was like, I came to a point where I was like, I'm stressing so much about music that it's not worth the enjoyment I get out of it. Yeah, because there's no payout right now. And there are definitely ways that I could probably start making TikToks or Instagram videos and stuff. But like, that's not fun for me. Like, what I enjoyed about DJing was the live aspect of like being out there and like connecting that way. And it was looking like I could make a career solely based off that with minimal social media engagement. Obviously, I had to do some. But now that it's basically all social media, if it continues this way, I literally don't want to do music anymore. Because it's just not what I can do. If it goes back to where I can tour and set up lights and be like working on physical stuff and like meeting people, definitely I'll try and make that a career again. But as of right now, I'm just kind of sidelining.
So what my question was going to be was, you know, just like because I didn't know like to that extent that you were kind of getting off of DJing. So my question was going to be like, is DJing or DODS a bigger
split path type thing.
I guess like I was just gonna ask basically honestly, which one was more fun, but at this point maybe it's like DODS a career.
More fun, definitely like death diving.
Yeah.
But also just because it's a straight hobby of mine. But also something too is like when I say DJing is not going to be my career, I don't mean that like I'm quitting.
Right.
Like, but like if a tour still comes my way, I'm going to take it, and if a show comes my way, I'm always going to take those. But I'm not going to try and like base my livelihood off of making sure I have enough shows. If that happens, great. But I'm no longer going to try and like, work 24/7, like just draining myself trying to line up shows.
Sure.
Because again, it paid off while everything was open. Because for every 6 hours I put in trying to grind and make a connection, I'd have, a 3-hour show. So like I was getting this constant, fulfillment and satisfaction, and now that's not happening. And with death diving, it's like it's just a hobby. I can go out with Marco and my friends.
But it might like
that's the thing.
If like I said earlier, you guys are like riding this first wave in America, and it actually
if death diving
becomes
became a career, I would like if it honestly right now if I had 2 career options in front of me, and one was like be a professional cliff jumper, death diver thing, and the other one was be a professional DJ. I would choose death diving.
Okay, that's basically what I wanted to know.
The reason I'm saying that is because a lot of this cliff jumping stuff, they like music, they like the vibes, and so like at Cliff Cruise, every night we were there were DJs. After the competitions, we'd all just go like party basically. And so my thing is, if I go with death diving, I can bring my hobby of DJing with me and still do it regularly. But if I went down a path of DJing full time, I can't death dive at all.
I mean, you could like dive into the crowd. I guess,
exactly. But like if I could do one or the other, I'd rather do death diving because it'll still let me do both. Whereas if I did DJing, if I did DJing full time, like where I was touring, 8 months out of the year, I couldn't do it at all.
Yeah. So like in Marco's case, I know you're musically talented as well, but like you haven't done any semi-career things with it that I know of.
No,
aside from obviously the worldwide phenomenon of the crafters. But
we'll probably end up talking about the crafters. but no, music. I mean, music for me wasn't anything that I would ever like want to be a. I mean, if it fell into my lap that like for some reason or at some point I ever like wrote a song and it like got really big and like made me like sure. I mean, sure. I would take those cards and like play them, but I don't think that would never be something that I would like grind towards and like want to make something out of. And like me and John, if I were to make music, it would be very different than like what the kind of music John makes. Is like he's very good at like.
I don't make music like you
do remixes.
It doesn't. Well, kind of. It really doesn't hurt my feelings when like people say I'm not a musician because like even though it's like I kind of am, I get it because really what I'm best at doing is just playing songs and blending them together, which like is really dumbing down what a DJ does do, but like
because it's a lot harder than like
because it's a lot harder and there's a lot to it, like reading a crowd and being good on a mic and being able to recover from awkward moments. But like when it comes down to like I'm not like playing an instrument that I'm creating notes from and like composing. And I'm sure if Marco made music, it'd be a lot more like I don't know, Mumford & Sons.
It'd be different, but basically, I personally would never pursue a career in music. That's not ever something I really wanted, but
a death diving career would you do?
I don't know.
You also though have
because I do have other aspirations that would not allow.
I know because you're in what dental school right now.
The goal is to be in dental school, and that's like if I were to ever get into dental school, that's a whole entire job. Yeah, like I can't.
Plus, if you death dive and like break your teeth, no one wants to see that their dentist has.
Man, the hands is the most important. What a lot of people don't know is that dentists have hand insurance.
Really?
Yeah, they get insurance for their hands. My dad has insurance for his
hands. In case somebody bites your finger off.
Yeah, in case like you're in like a snowboarding accident or something, and you break your fingers and you can't work.
Oh.
You have income for the time that you're recovering from it.
That's interesting.
Marco and I had 2 different like, at least for me, like growing up, I always knew like, I didn't want to work a 9 to 5, and not because I think it's inferior. There's definitely a lot of people like, because with cliff jumping community comes a lot of like free spirited people that just constantly want to live in their vans and stuff like that, which is cool. And like I want to live in a van.
Who doesn't want to live in their van?
But they almost frown upon like going to work and like having like a sustainable career.
It's a whole different thing. Like when we met with Travis, one of the guys who organized Cliff Cruise, and he was talking to us about like how his life is and everything, like that kind of life is more suited for certain people, and I just don't think that like you were saying, like people were like frowning upon having a 9-to-5 job or just like a daily grind that you like work 5 days out of the week and you have like the 2 days of the weekend to like chill out is like a bad thing. But like if you got a wife, you got a like 9-to-5 job, 4 days out of the week, 5 days out of the week, and you get the weekend like with your wife or kids at your homestead.
That's like, all I want.
That's life, bro.
I kind of want something in between. Like I want to work for myself.
Okay.
And I don't know what that obviously will look like. I thought it was DJing. Obviously, that's not. But like the desire hasn't gone away, and I think that God has instilled in me a desire to make something of myself. But
whatever I'm doing, I have to be the boss, man.
Yeah.
I can't. I personally wouldn't like. I don't think I would work well being in like a big corporation where it's like a pyramid of like a hierarchy of authority and all that kind of stuff. Like it just seems very you hear a lot of stories of like people like just like they're like 50 and they're forced to retire because they're new management coming in and all that kind of stuff. Like that kind of stability or instability is not something that I would not like in a career.
I think kind of going back to kind of an analogy of how like Marco always kind of tampered down some of my crazy ideas also kind of does reflect how our lives will probably end up being is like at the end of the day we're both responsible. Like I've had some dumb ideas, but they've never been like dumb to the point where it's like
you gotta be dumb to have fun, but like you can't be too dumb to where it's like stupid and you can actually get hurt.
And I don't mean offense to like the whole cliff jump community, but there's a lot of those people that are like their plans of like what they want to do with the rest of their lives aren't gonna work for more than like 2 or 3 years. Like they want to like live in their van and like take pictures of people for a living for the rest of their life, and it's like
but that works for like a very select amount of people. Like that one guy McGee that he was there, he's making a whole life out. Like he's going all these kinds of places and he's hired by like a traveling company and he makes money out of it. But like that, like you were saying,
whatever I want to do, I want to have a job that I work for myself. I do have free time, but I'm building long-term wealth. Because I don't want to be 50 and still have to, or 60 whenever I retire. I don't want to retire but then have to work a job.
Like planning for retirement is big, and some people are just like, why are you putting away this money that you could be using now for like for when your body's good and you can do all these kind of things? But
that's kind of how I am. Like I know you and I are supposed to have that talk.
Oh yeah,
in a little bit, but like honestly, I'm so stingy with my money.
I think it's a balance, though. I think that if you and I definitely haven't had it figured out yet. I'm hoping to. I want to by the end of 2021, 2022 be not just financially stable, but like have a trajectory. I mean, I think by the end of this year I'll be. I mean, I already am independent, but like I'm independent, but like living paycheck to paycheck right now. But I want to be independent, and like by the end of like this time next year, basically it'll be a year from now. Will be the end of 2021. But like I want to be able to like, if I needed to stop working for like a month, not have to worry about how I'm going to pay for things, and then maybe the next year 2 months, get to the point where like I can like comfortably take an extended vacation to go cliff jump. And I think I can do that at this age of like work hard, like work an honest job, work hard, and save up that money, and then take a 2-week-long vacation, and maybe just sacrifice some extended weekends, instead, so that at the end of the year I can just take one big long vacation, something like that. That's kind of what I'm looking for right now. I'm okay with making sacrifices to let me make my hobbies more.
If you can make your hobbies like get you money, like you can definitely.
I was just talking to Garrett about it, and like worth. I was thinking about today. Again, got a business entrepreneurship degree, so like I'm just constantly thinking of like ways to make income that require me to not have to say yes sir to anybody, and like renovating vans and like reselling them sounds so much fun to me. Like just getting like living on some land, buying a bunch of vans for a couple $1,000 each. Fixing them up, cleaning them, painting them, putting beds and stuff inside them, making them look nice, and then reselling them for 10, 15, 20 grand, whatnot. That just sounds like a fun time to me. It'd be hard, but I think a lot of people mistake like their idea of a fun time means that you don't work, but I think that like hard work can be fun if you're working towards a greater goal than living to your next paycheck.
Yeah.
I think that's right now why like things are such a drag for me, and why I do like death diving a lot. It's because it is a little bit of an escape, but like basically I just go to work just to pay to like live here.
Yeah.
And then repeat that process of like, got to go to work to pay the bills, you know.
Yeah.
And I want to get out of that as quickly as possible, even if that does mean living in a van for 6 months to a year and still working full time, but not having to pay rent and stuff, so I can save up and then buy some land, or you know, do something to where I'm out of the system of spending all your money up front. I need to start accumulating wealth.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, I don't know, life trajectory wise, I feel like I'm kind of in a different boat then, because I'm basically like, I don't want to be in a big corporation like you said, but if I was working at like a medium or small business and I still had to answer to people, I feel like I'm mostly okay with that.
Yeah.
I feel like my priorities are with my hobbies. Like ideally, sure, I'd make money off of either writing or making videos or something or film. But I don't know, at this point I have a lot of different struggles with my creativity and the creative side of myself, where I have to balance the fact that I feel like, at least for the moment, God's been calling me to work at a church and I guess in some way just be bringing his word to people, or if not that, then at least be teaching or be in some position where I'm like, for lack of a better word, mentoring. Trying to reconcile that with most of my creative ideas, which basically, to put it frankly, are R-rated, I'll say. Which, you know, try as I might, that's just like where most of my ideas come from, and where they go to is like say I was making, I don't know, a movie. Chances are, because I'm very hung up on reality and what I've lived through, and what I've lived through is not like harsh or hard, but it's not PG. You know what I mean? Like, if I were making a movie about my life, it would be a hard R for sure.
Right.
And there's a certain like desire to be honest when being creative that I'm trying to reconcile with also the fact that I'm a Christian.
I mean, if you look at the Bible, it's probably the best example of like hard R material that's like in a way to...
It's definitely there, but it's just like, it's also, it's not just about what you see in the Bible. It's about like, what does the community who reads the Bible think of such R-rated content?
Honestly, man,
I don't think, for example, that you can go to many churches and expect to talk frankly about certain aspects of certain sins, like say lust, or you know, cursing, or I don't know, you name it, whatever alcohol, whatever
the sins that
you've
like
done.
aren't the sins that aren't cool to talk about.
The sins of addiction really are the ones, I think, especially that aren't cool to talk about,
because everyone's addicted to something,
and nobody wants to acknowledge it.
I think honestly, though, for me, I would just say, don't concern yourself with those people, because those,
I try not to.
Those are the people that are like, they're not gonna change regardless, and just write with a clean conscience, but write exactly what you want, and then you'll build it, because every fan base ever is built around people enjoying the uniqueness and the authenticity of somebody, whether, and like, do you know who deadmau5 is, the DJ?
I've heard of deadmau5,
he's like one of the OGs, but he's like one of the meanest people on the planet. He like tweets mean stuff all the time. He's not a funny personality, but like, that's what people like about him, because like, he's not like most personalities who like love their fans. He like cusses out his fans if they're being annoying and stuff. But like, that's what his fans like, because they're like, this dude is just like, he's just like a normal guy that happens to like make. But like, I don't know. I think like, for me at least, there's been maybe one or two authors / Christian or even just faith-based works of art that like felt real.
Yeah.
Because everything that Christians put out is always so whitewashed, like, protect our eyes and protect our ears. But it's like, you can protect someone's innocence while teaching them about harshness.
Yeah.
And I think that we need more people like you.
Well, honestly, my take is even a little bit coming on stronger than that. We have already failed, most of us, if not all of us, to maintain our innocence and
Right.
protect our eyes and ears. So why not call that out in a more blatant way? Like, why not have a movie, for example, about Christians filled with those same Christian characters using bad language, being greedy, being sinful.
Because if you go and see God's Not Dead, you won't hear like
because that's not what Christians are really like.
Yeah,
but here's
exactly.
the thing. I think the only thing you have to reconcile is there's going to be certain things that would be a stumbling block to Christians to watch. Like if you put, there's a lot of pastors that have been getting accused and convicted and caught in like sexual scandals. And if you put like a hard R sex scene in a movie, I would argue that's one of the few things in movies that just shouldn't be.
No, I would agree.
But
There's a line.
Honestly, I think
still.
aside from that, because it can directly lead like a person to sin just by looking at that.
Yeah.
But like if I see like a person like shooting up a line of heroin, that's not instantly causing me to sin.
Like you're not shooting up the line of heroin.
Yeah,
right.
That might be different for somebody who is like who has been previously addicted to heroin.
Right.
So like if that person sees that, they're like, oh.
But then
how that feels.
at that point though, if you're worrying about that, like then you're worried about any movie.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that's the reason why like
hard.
a sex scene is the only thing that like should be a hard no for a Christian, or at least like like you can explain what's going on.
Yeah, you can infer to it, but like.
Because that's the only thing that, like, no matter what type of a person you are, guy or girl, looking at that makes you feel some sort of way that you shouldn't. Aside from that, I feel like it can be helped.
There are very few sex scenes in movies that are actually contribute anything to the movie. I don't know if you agree.
I agree. As a movie guy, absolutely, I agree with that.
Because it's just
that was the big problem with Game of Thrones, is the sex position where they would like have like important dialogue go on in like a brothel or something.
Yeah.
But it was just like. It was intentionally put that way just for the sake of like, you know, getting the views up, because they knew that like explicit imagery would mean more people. But like at the same time, that ruined the show for me, because it's like a young Christian guy who like lust is a problem. It's like I love Game of Thrones because I like the concept of like bloody violence, fantasy and all that, but I'm like, I literally cannot watch this because I never know when a bad scene is coming up, and if I skip that scene, I'm probably going to miss an important piece of the movie, like the scene that I needed to know. So like, I don't know. Again, just going back to the Bible though, the Bible has so many like sexual situations in it that are never like, it's not written out like a freaking 50 Shades of Grey book.
Like a fan fiction.
It's not a fan
but it explains pretty clearly like what's going on.
But no, I definitely too think that Christians should take more away from like Jewish culture of how like there's a spiritual maturing that occurs at some point that's like you know how when you turn, is it 13, right?
I think it's 13.
Yeah, 13, like you become a man.
With the bar mitzvah.
Yeah. And they were then allowed to read the Song of Solomon, right? That book was not allowed for like the younger boys because of lust. In the same way though, I feel like as Christian guys, there should be a point, and maybe it's between you and your son, because I don't think every guy matures the same age, but there should definitely be a time when like you realize like your son is not only old enough but like needs to see how the world works, and expose them to that. Not let them fall into it, but expose them to it, you know?
Yeah,
in the same way of like people, the way I'd always explain it is like, if you have a baby and you want to teach them about the dangers of fire, you would probably hold their hand up to it and let them feel the warmth. You wouldn't throw the whole baby into the fire.
Yeah.
It's like the baby will learn the lesson either way, but one of those ways is going to permanently hurt the baby.
That's a good point.
In the same way, it's like with your kids, it's like there's ways you can expose them to things without throwing them in. And usually the people that have been thrown in, because misery loves company, will say, oh, you know, you're babied, you were sheltered, you this and that. It's like,
yeah.
Or like, I love it when, you know, like someone will be like, oh, you know, you never had sex before you got married. Like, you're so sheltered. Like, what are you going to do on your wedding night? It's like, well, I'm going to figure it out.
Whatever I have to.
Yeah, it's like whatever I have to, whatever I want to. But like at the end of the day, too, it's like, I've never seen a Christian couple that wanted to have kids that like couldn't because they never figured out what they were doing. It's like you're gonna get it. You don't need prior. Yeah. So just, I guess, all that to say, you should definitely just do what you want and maybe just reconcile your.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, as I talk more and more about that on this podcast and otherwise, I just get more and more towards that point where I feel like I'm about to reach that point probably where I stop caring that certain people are gonna not like that I'm doing certain things with my creativity. But for the moment, I mean, mostly creative-wise, I'm
saying this loud and clear on the podcast. The old Christian generation needs to die. I cannot wait for you guys to pass away so I can come to church with my tattoos.
The old,
what a glorious day.
The old, what's it called? New Apostolic Reformation people need to leave.
I don't know what that is. That's too
many
words.
I could talk about. How many hours you got? I could talk about this.
Has gone from death diving to like deep.
I was going to go back to death diving at one point.
I had this weird niche, like over the summer when I was studying for my DAT.
You did have a weird phase.
I had that, and it's still going through it. Like I still like my YouTube suggested is just like all like it's bad.
Why Calvinism is
yes, but over the summer when I was studying for this test I had to take for dental school, I just like my side interest was just what's called the New Apostolic Reformation, which is like pretty much like how like these big churches like Bethel Church is pretty big, Elevation Church, and like all like pretty much the best worship music is like. It all circles around what people define as like an apostle, because an apostle in the Bible is pretty well defined, and people disagree on whether the nature of like spiritual gifts, if like they're continuationists with people who believe like all spiritual gifts that the apostles had, like the apostles of Christ, like the apostles had, like they had gifts of healing and of prayers and tongues and all these kinds of things. They think that continuationists think that those gifts still remain and like you can still do it. That's why when you go to like upper room, you hear all these people go and like they like maybe there's some people who are doing it, but most of a lot of people it's very fishy, because like 1 Corinthians is like when you're speaking in tongues, it has to be
everything in
translated. It has to be there's rules, and like a lot of these churches don't do that, but
Christianity.
I need at least 2 hours if I need to talk.
No,
Christianity is
different episode. Different episode.
Christianity is rules based out of safety, not rules based out of withholding joy from your life.
Yeah, and to do with that, it's the reason. Once Jesus came, the new covenant, the old covenant has been just put aside because it was old and unused and is null and void. But now that we have a new covenant with Jesus, there's no need for the laws of the Jewish people of the Old Testament, like all those ritualistic laws of sacrifice and all those things. There's no need for that because we have sanctification through the sacrifice of Jesus, right? But I completely lost where I was going. Basically, what was I looking for 1 Corinthians?
All this to say.
Yeah, continue. I completely lost track.
Oh, I also did. I was just gonna say all this to say there's death diving competition in
Basically,
February.
to answer your question, I would probably not make a living out of DODS.
No, but
I'm telling you, I'm just warning you. I'm gonna remember
that really is the question that we
saw this
tangent.
But I'm telling you right now. Once I think about what I was going to say, I'm going to finish it.
Well, my next death diving question, we should get back into that for the last 15 minutes or so. My next death diving question was going to be, like, John, in your case, I know I've seen you DJ one time, and I know you're really about, like, hyping people up.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the hype with, you know, the fact that you can get people hyped by doing something sick, you know, jumping off a cliff or something. And so for both of y'all, what is just like your favorite aspect of death diving? Is it the getting people hype? Is it the adrenaline rush? Is it...
Dude, when we watch those videos of us we did like a tandem dive where we were just like, we jumped and did like a salute or something, and like when you get out of the water and people are like, yeah, it's like, it's so cool because like it's such like it's so fun to just like have that kind of thing where it's like, sure, we worked hard for it and it was kind of hurt to get it right at first, but like it honestly didn't take that long for us to be able to do what we were doing, and to have somebody like be so excited about it, just as excited as we are or even more, it's just so fun because like you're just doing it for fun, and like people are just as excited as you are.
I think for me there's kind of two different parts to it, because obviously we've only been to one like actual competition, because again it's not like these things are going down all the time. In fact, the second ever one is at my backyard in like a month and a half now.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out.
Get your tickets.
Get your tickets. Link in Dallas DODS crew bio. But the part of it that I like when it's not a competition is definitely the camaraderie, specifically between Marco and I, but also Juan and Reagan and just everyone that's about it. Because it does seem like it's endlessly entertaining to the people watching.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just our friends being polite and coming over, but it does seem cool that like people will make time after church to come watch us.
Yeah,
every over and over.
Yeah.
And
Every
over.
time we invite people over, they're just like, especially the new people who have never seen it. It's just like so cool because they're so excited about it.
Yeah.
Like
even if it's
like
your
something...
friends just being polite, like who cares? Like it's still, you know.
It's
like when we went to Cliff Cruise, like everybody is just as excited as you are.
That's
so
that's the part when it comes to doing it like in quote unquote practice. Like when there's not a competition. I like it because it does seem to bring joy to everyone around, or at least like some wonder and amazement. And also too, it's nice to kind of push your body. I do actually enjoy kind of like testing my limits of like how hard can I hit the water? Yeah, how many flips can we do? Because like there is a risk of getting hurt, but it's not a risk of like serious injury. Like you'll get black eyes and you know bloody noses.
You want to tell us how you got that shiner, Marco?
Oh man, Lenny hit me.
Yeah.
I should have known. Are you the new Amber Heard, Lainey?
He tried to leave the kitchen, and I just don't have time for it. He knows his place.
I try to do a flip that I'm not good enough to do yet. Basically,
he need himself in the eye.
I need myself pretty good in the eye.
I can tell it's at like the itchy phase because you keep.
No, I just like touching it because it's like bouncy.
But
okay.
My second favorite part of cliff jumping is at the competition, and hopefully this will become a thing. I would like to do 2 or 3 competitions a year at least, like if I could. But because I just am a natural born entertainer. I'm more comfortable in front of a crowd than I am in a small group. Like legitimately, I feel like I am a cooler person. I'm more confident in front of like hundreds of people that expect me to do something cool than I am like right here.
Interesting.
And like so when like at Cliff Cruise, I feel like I'm not that great. Like Marco is a technical better death diver than me. But where I excel is like before the jump.
I'm blushing.
I have so much fun like getting your arms thrown up and hyping people up and getting them to count down with you and stuff like that. That's the part that like I love doing, and like seeing the crowd like they're like hanging on your every word, and like all eyes are on you. They can't wait to see what you're doing.
It's like because when you're up there, it's like literally those hundreds of people that are there. They're all looking at you and what you're about to do,
and they're expecting you to do something cool. But the cool thing about death diving is even if it doesn't look cool, you're gonna hurt yourself, and they're gonna be just as excited to see you hurt yourself.
I think it's objectively interesting. Like I had my grandpa and both of my parents come out and me to watch them jump. My grandpa recorded the whole thing. Like my grandpa told my entire family about like death diving.
Wow.
So it's not even just like a generation, like our generation who
I
has
think
this like death wish.
It's just something.
Yeah, because like,
no, everyone's got a death wish.
My parents would like invite people over from church, like the adults, to like come watch, and like every time they're always just like
it's just something that
it's new.
Nobody like you just don't see that, especially like when like older people who don't like have Instagram the same feed that we do or Instagram, they just don't run into that. So then when they see it, they're like, "What?"
I definitely do think I like it, but we've gotten to a point where Mark and I are kind of desensitized to it because like I don't realize how impressive it is. Just that we're jumping from that height and like landing.
If somebody who's never seen it and we just did like a normal thing where we just like held it and like hit the water,
like the next time we go to Lake Whitney just to like practice, the people there are probably gonna be like blown away by what we're doing, and to us it'll be like the most boring practice session. And like I like that though because for the first time in my life I finally got on something before it was like legitimately before it was cool.
Yeah.
And going back to like making a career out of it, like we have different opinions and stuff, or maybe we don't, but
I don't think a career will come out of it. Period.
Fair. But the thing is, like when like you're doing competitions and stuff, and we can probably do others down the road when it's not like 30 degrees and more people come out, but like there's interest in this, and like with this interest, so like there's money, so like people like you can get like sponsorship. Like there's people who are already sponsoring like this event, and like we're probably not gonna make a huge profit or anything, but like I'm
gonna make some money. Like everyone who's involved in organizing this, and like if we sell enough tickets, we'll all make like enough money to like make this something that like if it's just a little tiny side hustle that we do once a year,
it's a good amount.
That's a week-long vacation type of money.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And it's cool. It's fun.
I think that's what I want. I think I want to get to the point where my hobbies make me enough money to where I can extend them longer than a regular vacation. I'm not saying I'm not gonna try and make my whole life sponsored by GoPro and Red Bull and be on the road 24/7. But I would like to make, let's say I have a YouTube channel and I have 20,000 subscribers, right? That's not famous, but I'm getting enough plays and views to maybe pay for an extra week on the road, instead of having to go work. And like if I can do that, that is fulfilling enough for me. I don't have to do full-time death diving, full-time DJing, anything. If I can DJ for 2 months out of the year and then I go work the rest of the year, I'm cool with that because I know in the back of my head I'm working, but like I'll have a couple months where I really get to do what I love.
Yeah.
And if it gets bigger than that, great. But I think that's the point I'm trying to get to where I'll be satisfied.
I'm kind of the same way because, I feel like I have really low stakes when it comes to my stuff or really low expectations. And I don't know if some of it stems from like some sort of insecurity that is so subconscious I just can't even recognize it. But like as it stands right now, I'm very happy with keeping my creative stuff mostly so localized that only people who are close to me even know about it. And I'm really enjoying the fact, especially these last few months, that like, for example, you guys are doing the DODS thing and now we're talking about it on my podcast. And Marco is part of the Little Crafters and they just did a new song and I made a mockumentary and put it on my YouTube channel. And so like the kind of combinations of my creative stuff just working with all my friends
and
has been like,
that's when,
I love that
yeah,
so
that's
much.
when the best stuff comes out, and like that's when the stuff comes out that you can actually like maybe even make a living out of. Like I don't know. We're probably gonna make a living out of Little Crafters when it blows up in like 20 years. but like the best kind of stuff like is like when you don't necessarily plan it out because like many are the plans of man, but only the will of the Lord is him. But
I think the greatest gift that I have in this friend group is the fact that we are all spontaneous and not irresponsibly spontaneous, but spontaneous enough to where we, like we said at the very beginning of this podcast, to bring it all around, have lived very full, fulfilling lives for how old we are.
If I could die, if I would die right now, I could be happy.
I
would like to do a couple more things.
There's so much more I want to do with my life, but like the amount of stuff we've done compared to most people our age is incredible. Like, and the fact that we want have drives.
And most of all, I think the fact that we get to do it all together, because we've had this discussion before, but like something was there for, I think specifically around our time at MCA, but something was there just in general at MCA where like I don't know, just like people who are friends in high school like we all were don't usually stick together this long after high school.
Oh yeah.
And I just think
especially the amount of people in this group.
Exactly. Like, I just think it's amazing that this many people have stuck together and been so supportive of everyone's like different.
We are all complimentary of each other, but we're not the exact same. And I think I think a lot of high school groups were just people that were the exact same. But I think that maybe it was just a little. We were not mature. But there was some part of us that was mature enough, I think, to understand that like friendships involve more than everyone agreeing with each other all the time, and so we were able to, from a younger age than most, get over some smaller arguments and stick together. Because a lot of friend groups I know in high school fell apart because stupid drama that like to us is like something we can just talk out in the evening or something. So shout out the friend group.
Yep.
Everyone in the friend group.
Shout out to you guys.
Shout out. Well, we are coming up on an hour, so if y'all want to wrap it up, we can do one more. We can do one more official. Don't freaking outro me yet.
Okay, no, we're not at the outro yet. We got a minute and 30.
We can do one more. John, I'm gonna duct tape your mouth shut. We can do one more like shout out of I don't know DODS.
February 5th through 7th. February 5th through 7th in Dallas, Texas.
Wait a second. Why haven't we been talking about that for
we are so right. Why are we not talking about Keira Knightley?
I could talk about Keira Knightley with you.
Okay, no. Keira Knightley, but only in Pirates of the Caribbean.
In character.
I don't know about
only Pirates of the Caribbean.
In that fluffy pirate shirt.
Which one's the Which one's the fluffy
Thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. We love you guys.
I do the sign out. This is
Right,
important.
let me plug it.
This
one
is
more time.
important
We
to
have
me.
30 seconds.
What fluffy shirt? It doesn't have to be exactly
Dude,
an
I
hour.
can get you a frame.
Yes, it
The
does.
podcast goes over an
I
hour
can get
all
you a
the time.
frame.
Is it from
February?
The second
I
one?
don't
No,
know.
the first one.
It's the
Curse of the
first
Black
one.
Pearl.
What's the one?
I like her best.
What's the one where they're on an island? They can only like meet once a year, and like he kisses.
Oh, the end of the
World's
third
End.
one. At World's
Oh,
End.
when she's in the
When
black.
she's got
I know
the
what
boots
you're
on.
saying.
The high boots, dude.
That is
Oh,
easily
man.
sexiest scene
Yo, dude,
in the Pirates.
If my
series.
wife wore thigh-high boots to our wedding, like, imagine
Guys,
just like
I'm
a
gonna get-
short,
just had a pirate
short
wedding.
dress,
I'm gonna get a
and
black eye on my
thigh-high-
left now.
dude. Holy cow, dude!
Oh my
I
gosh.
couldn't make it to the wedding night. I would, bro. I would go to Ground and Pound. Like it would be awesome.
Love that. That's the last couple minutes.
February 5th through 7th in Dallas, Texas. The Dallas DODS crew is hosting.
Dodds in the Dirty South.
DODS in the Dirty South.
Okay.
Buy your tickets now at Dallas DODS crew Instagram.
I was gonna say I can paste the link in the bio of this YouTube channel. You just have to give me the link. Anyway, we're gonna wrap it up now. Before John, don't get me a copyright strike with this music.
All the energy of this podcast got concentrated until the first 2 minutes and the last.
And the last happens more often than you'd think. Before John gets louder again, I have been Evan. These are my friends. Goodbye.